Hello friends, let us start now. Lecture number 3 on Dr. Parsons and his phase 3 and last sociological journey. Parsons moved away from the study of order or self-maintaining equilibrium of the social system to the study of change in order to reply to his critics who used to say that Parsonian theory was static and his conservatism didn't explain the social change. He thus studied social change by using the concept of evolution in a way similar to Spencer to explain change from simple to a complex, homogeneous to heterogeneous, undifferentiated to differentiated, with the emergence of new parts in which there is more and more functional specialization in the society. Parsons had to give substantive reasons for conflict and change. Meanwhile, on that time, in biology, there were several new inventions like genes, hormones, and cybernetics were going on. Parsons adopted this to sociology to account for the change and developed the concept of cybernetic hierarchy. He was having a biological background also. Since childhood, he was wanted to be a doctor. So he studied biology also. That why the influence was on him of biology. Parsons argued that social life is primarily involved two dimensions: exchange of energy and information. He said that system high in information control the system high in energy. That is mutual correspondence between energy flow and information flow. A change in one triggers change in another, otherwise disbalance in the system is created. He applied this idea to his paradigm of social actions. So we know the four parts of his social action theories. So let us see a cybernetic hierarchy of his paradigm of social action. So cultural system, which is part of social action system, which fulfills the latency need, is at a high energy end, which regulate the social system will fulfill the integration need, which further regulate the personality system, who fulfill the goal attainment need, and which finally regulate the organismic system, which is at a high energy ends, which is at a high energy. So here we can see that cultural system is at the top of high information in which regulate social system regulate personality system, and personality system regulate organismic system, and energy is required to all these subparts. So high energy end supply energy from lower to top, and from the top information is flowing. So for any system to work, requirement of information and energy both is there. Parsons in his work 1937 stated, "Who now reads Spencer?" But by 1960s, Parsons was reading Spencer. So it's all about life. He linked theory of evolutionary change to his cybernetic hierarchy. According to Spencer, as differentiation increases, need for integration also increases. This idea was picked up by Parsons. If structural differentiation in society increases, then increase in energy consumption also increases. For example, industrialization leads to development of different type of industries, which leads to increased energy consumption, and adaptational upgrading, manipulating and controlling the environment increases. Increasing differentiation demands higher level of integration, else system will break down. Thus, for integration increases, this leads to value generalization. That means increasing universalistic values, which leads to greater inclusion. Thus, value change, that means cultural change from particularistic to universalistic. Parsons argued that change may be triggered from either side. First change in differentiation thereby leading to cultural change, or first cultural change and then differentiation happens. For example, in India, first democracy, universalistic values was adopted when society was agrarian, very less differentiation, and then industrialization, high differentiation happened, just opposite to the Western world. In Western world, first differentiation occurs, then cultural change. So differentiation involves technological change, while value generalization involves cultural change. Any of them may happen first, leading to change in order. Using these concepts, Parsons tried to develop a model of evolution. So, starting from differentiation, increase in energy consumption leads to increase in structural differentiation, which leads to adaptational upgrading, which leads to need for higher integration, and which causes value generalization, which ultimately leads to greater inclusion. That means value generalization, that is cultural change, or we can move like in vice versa, in opposite direction also we can move. So change can be occur on either cultural side or differentiation side, so both way. Parsons developed another concept called evolutionary universal for explaining social change. He defined evolutionary universal as evolutionary universal refers to any organizational development sufficiently important to further evolution that rather than emerges only once is likely to be hit upon by various systems operating under different conditions. Parsons argues that process of evolution of the social system in the history of all societies consists of the same three stages: primitive, intermediate, and modern stages. These three stages of evolution are not similar to all society as they are applicable, but they are applicable to all society by taking into account the considerable variations found in particular societies because of its specific cultural and material conditions. Now let us go through the primitive stage of society according to Parsons. In this stage, differentiation is only on the basis of age and sex. Members of the society are equal. Because of the population and some technological change, some section of people appropriated surplus. They become rich and powerful and inequality develop. So social stratification, that means inequality. Hence evolutionary universal along with differentiation. So here social stratification worked as evolutionary universal developed, and the society transformed into advanced primitive stage. To legitimize their superiority, the powerful class use religious ideas to have authority over others, and they become the priestly class. The society now divided between commoners and the priestly class. The priestly class developed into a leisure class as their most works were done by commoners. They devoted themselves to learning, and hence written language was developed. The development of written language, here written language development was evolutionary universal, catapulted the society from primitive to intermediate stage. Now let us go through intermediate stage. The three sub-stages of intermediate stage. First one is archaic stage. For example, ancient Egyptian civilization, as the size and population of the society increased, differentiation increased, and the society got divided into ruler plus royal lineage, middle priestly class of administrators, and commoners. Second, historic stage. When differentiation further increased, separation of religious and political power occurred. This acted as evolutionary universal. For example, in India, in China, there was further differentiation. Political power got divided between king and bureaucracy. After reaching this historical stage, India and China ceased to evolve further because of world rejection ethos. Third substage of intermediate stage is seedbed. The idea that all are equal before the god evolved into the idea that everyone is equality before the king. Hence equality of law is developed and it worked as a evolutionary universal. For example, in ancient Greek, Israel and Rome, but historical factors prevented further evolution. Third stage is modern stage. In Europe, revival of the ideas of equality before the law, world affirmation ethos by Protestants, while technology led to the development of universal legal system which worked as evolutionary universal, which transformed Europe into modern stage. In China, it was achieved through technological advancement. Hence, universal legal system based on equality before law was the evolutionary universal. So change can be occur on both sides, cultural change and differentiation. Here technological advancement means differentiation. Parsons argued that transition to modern stage will complete with establishment of democracy. Now let us critically evaluate the Parsons work. Critics have argued that when sociologists wishes to debate, question, criticize and rebel, it is usually Parsons who becomes the target. Alvin Gordon criticized Parsons, saying that he tended to overemphasize harmonious relationship and focused on brighter side only. Merton argued that Parsons' sociological work is too grand to be of any use. It is useless as it doesn't help in advancement. Merton argued that Parsons' attempt to building such a general theory is premature, sterile, and futile because the prerequisite empirical research that is essential to develop such a general theory has simply not been done. Parsons is trying to be an Einstein of sociology while sociology is yet to produce a Kepler. So Merton has criticized Parsons heavily. Merton instead argued for middle range theory. Critics have also argued that Parsons' sociology of change is just a description of stages, no explanation of under what conditions change will be harmonious or conflict driven or revolutionary. Thus his theory is incapable of deal with contemporary process of rapid revolutionary social change occurring across the world due to the rapid technological changes. Parsons' approach has incapacity to deal with contemporary process of social change. As Parsons discussed it, it was again discussed in developmental terms rather than revolutionary terms. Critics have also argued that Parsons' sociological work is teleological. That means it defined as the view that society or other social structure has purpose or goals. In order to achieve these goals, society creates a specific social structure and institution as for procreation and socialization of individuals. Family as an institution is created. Critics have argued that it adheres to tautology. A tautological argument is one in which the conclusion is merely the restatement of the premise, that is defining whole in terms of parts and parts in terms of whole. That is tautology. For example, social system is defined by the relationship among its component parts and that the component parts are defined by their place in the larger social system. Critics have also argued that Parsons has not produced any great empirical work as Durkheim or Marx, which somewhat diminishes his reputation. So, in conclusion, we have to answer in positive note, positive contribution by Parsons after mentioning the criticism. Okay, it's all about. Thank you very much.